Hello everyone and welcome back to Rudy's 1/6 World for another retrospective showcase. And I decided to take a little break from Marvel figures and my journey towards the Midnight Suns to look at another older figure I have. And this time we'll look at the 1/6 scale Neo from the original Matrix movie as released by Hot Toys. And this one isn't too old, coming out around 2019. And first thing first, I actually do have the box for this one. Unfortunately, I was in a smaller space when I got him, so I just took a quick look and stored him back in the box until now. So while it's a figure I've owned for a while, this is the first time I'm really taking him out and loading him up with all his gear. So before getting into the figure, let's talk about the Matrix. I mean, to say that that first film is iconic, I think is a total understatement. I still remember seeing the movie in theaters and being completely blown away by the story, the action. Everything just really fit in so well together with this dream world scenario. And going back to the action, there were so many amazing moments, especially towards the end of the movie, with Neo and Trinity's raid to rescue Morpheus. And of course, the figure is very much based on the start of that raid with the fight in the lobby. Throw in the great characters too that the movie had, Neo obviously being a standout, but you had Morpheus, Trinity, Agent Smith, Cypher, the Oracle. I always feel like I need to watch that movie again. Anyway, this was a figure Hot Toys released that really got everyone excited at the time. And they also teased a prototype Agent Smith, which sadly never saw the light of day. So if you can't tell, I really was excited to get this figure and add him to the collection. Sometimes we buy figures because they just look great, but it's always better, or at least I feel that it's better, when you get the cool figure and it's based on an amazing property. We'll talk more about the movie and its legacy after we look at Neo himself though. And as we normally do, we'll start by looking at the total package here. And first thing I will say, always check your packages. I did way too cursory a look when I got him years ago and didn't realize there was a piece missing. So always check your figures. That one is totally on me, but looking at everything here, it's clear that the highlight of the set is the sheer amount of weaponry he includes, which of course is fitting given the famous prep scene from the movie where Neo asks Mouse for guns. So there's a lot here and it really does feel like a nice loaded release. So let's look closer and we'll start with the hands, and you honestly don't get much considering the sheer amount of weaponry. You get a pair of fists, a pair of trigger hands, which will be getting a ton of use, and then his Matrix power hands as well, or posing hands for some of the handstands he does. Next up, you get the sunglasses, which are very specific to the movie and nicely recreated here with the oval lenses. I love the Gangster's Kingdom line and the glasses they provide, but you look at the ones here and they look amazing. And that was also true of the sunglasses we got with the Hot Toys Blade. So props to them for delivering on such a small piece. Finally, before getting into the weapons, we get the big duffel bag he carries into the building, which contains an explosive device. Now, they packed this with foam to give it the shape, and the bag itself is really well detailed, including functioning rolling wheels at one end, as well as a molded element that's meant to represent a luggage handle, which doesn't work here, right? Doesn't extend. But overall looks great. Only thing that would have made this better would have been if you could actually open the bag and see the device inside, similar to what they did with the bank robber Joker. But that's more of a wish list item. Now let's jump into the weapons and start with what looks like old style M16s with the enclosed barrel and the full stock at the end. And they look great with lots of nice detail. The magazines are removable and they do have a working action, although it's not spring loaded, and a dust cover that can be opened to reveal the inner workings of the rifle. All nice touches and very much in line with the rifles Neo takes from the security guards at the facility. Next up, his Beretta handguns, and I will say this is an interesting decision from Hot Toys because he actually should have 4 total. 2 that he has tucked into his belt at the start of the shootout, and 2 in his shoulder holsters. But Hot Toys only gave us 2, and they look great though. Again, very nice paint apps, making the piece look weathered and realistic with some very dark gray paintwork and some nice black detailing at the grip. Next, you have the very distinctive HK MP5s that just look incredible, again with removable magazines and a working bolt. And these are so distinctive and done so well with all of the detail work here, including the nice smooth grips and the details on the forward grips, including the fact that they're hollow. So great pieces overall, and they do connect to the figure via a leather strap that clips onto the metal rings at the back of the guns. Curious how that piece actually works since you see the strap in the movie, but when Neo is dual wielding, the MP5s are detached. It's either movie magic or there's some kind of a quick release. Next up, you get 2 Scorpions, which also look great, and they're very distinctive pieces. And again, credit to Hot Toys here because they don't just look like black plastic. They're painted and dry brushed in a way where the body of the weapon is very metallic looking, and the grip actually has some interesting patterns, and it's an interesting design. These just look really good, and again, were very distinctive in the movie. Now the next two are mini Uzis, and this is why I mentioned you should check all of your figures carefully when you get them in. Now the guns themselves look great again. Very easily identifiable weapons that people will recognize. And these look great with some of the detailing as well, especially something that I noticed with the bolts that hold the gun together. They're actually painted a very distinctive bronze, so they stand out. Now, where I failed was in looking at the package fully, and I didn't realize that one of the Uzis was actually missing the clip. It's nowhere to be found in the package, and everything was secure in the trays, so it looks like they just missed mine. I do think I can probably pick some ammo up online, but again, always check your figures. And finally, you do get this huge stand with opposable flight pole. Now, this stand is modeled after the lobby floor from the shootout sequence, and it's serviceable. And the figure actually looks really nice standing on it. But more importantly, you can try to get some dynamic posing out of Neo. For me, the big obvious ones are the handstand shooting pose and the triple or quadruple kick that ends the lobby shootout sequence. But I will say, the stand itself does take up a lot of space, so just be aware. Now let's take a closer look at the sculpt, and I think it looks really good and really close to a young Keanu Reeves from the movie. There is some nice detail work on the face, and the eyes look great. Is it perfect? No, I don't think it's the best sculpt we've seen. There's something just a little bit off, but it's really good. But more importantly, and you'll see it later once you put the sunglasses on, he looks incredible. And for Neo, would you ever really choose to display him without the glasses? As far as the rest of the clothing, it's that iconic look from the end of the movie with the extremely long trench coat that's nicely wired and does include a satin-like interior lining. And beneath that, he has a long-sleeve black shirt, cargo pants, and what really stands out here are the boots. These are all leather-like material, and they look great with all the detail we saw in the movie, and some logos on the buckles as well. They really are unique, and it was an incredible job done by Hot Toys here recreating those. And they don't limit posability, which is great. They're loose enough at the ankle joints that you can get some good movement in posing. Beyond that, the other highlight is the shoulder holster for his handguns, and the climbing ring that he's actually wearing around his legs, which he uses to hold all the guns during the scene. So now, I'm sure you'll notice I basically tried to recreate as many of the poses from the movie as I could. Normally, I like to do my own thing, but there are so many memorable moments from that lobby scene that you can just take any. For example, the way he shoots the MP5s at the beginning, like crossing them across his body, or Neo in a crouch behind a crumbling column pulling out the scorpions. So I tried to recreate those looks, and I really didn't go with any poses where he isn't wearing his glasses. For me personally, it's just not how I remember Neo. But overall, I think Hot Toys did an amazing job here. Only real knock is, again, that they didn't include 2 more Berettas. I'm guessing they figured no one would really display him in a way where all 4 would be visible at the same time, but it just feels like a slightly cheap approach. No harm, though. I already scoped out a couple that I'm going to try to pick up from Soldier Story products. So I'll try to get those just so that I have a complete package. Besides that, though, this is an amazing figure, and it was one I had to get when Hot Toys announced him, and I'm glad I have him in hand. The only shame, again, is that he's the only one we got from the movie. At least the only licensed one. I know there are third-party versions of him, of Trinity, Morpheus, and Agent Smith. But I think I was always hoping some other company would pick up this line and give us actual licensed products. I mean, Hot Toys is doing a new one from The Matrix Resurrections, which I know that's a movie that had a lot of naysayers. But I will say this. Reviewing this figure definitely made me want to pick that new version up. And he is on waitlist on Sideshow, so hopefully I get lucky and my waitlist actually converts. But I think I would love to have both versions of Neo, the younger and the older one, on a shelf. I think they'll look great. My real hope, though, seeing how InArt seems to be focusing on WB licenses, would be that they try to visit this line at some point. But again, given that they're focusing on the big characters first, I feel like even if they do tackle the Matrix, it would be a good long while before you get characters like Trinity or Morpheus. So for now, I'm happy with Neo. And I do like that he is representative of the best movie in the series. To be honest, I really enjoyed Matrix Reloaded. I think it was a great sequel with great concepts and action, although they have the rave scene in Zion seemed a little out of place, and unfortunately it set up so many great questions that I thought had kind of terrible answers. At the end of Reloaded, when Neo stops the machines in the real world, I remember all the endless debates about a Matrix within a Matrix and so on. So needless to say, Revolutions was my least favorite. Sorry for that aside. Clearly I can go on about this series, which I think is a testament to the impact at least the first movie had. So that was a quick review of the Hot Toys Neo. He is an amazing figure, and even just posing him for a little bit now was so much fun and brought back so many great memories of watching that first movie. I am honestly tempted to go watch it again right now. So love the figure, and I really love having these kinds of unique characters in my collection as well. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, thank you for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.